Uh, so, so I have a presentation for you that's not very technical. So if you're waiting for some cool Scala lines or cool Scala snippets, well, that won't happen. You can leave now if you want. No, I'm joking. Of course, stay. I would like to tell you about adaptation of Scala in my company, about my last project, and how incorporating AKKA in that project helped me to overcome some of the limitations of my previous enterprise stack. So let's go. This is the agenda of my presentation. So I will tell a few words about myself. Then I will tell a few words about the telco industry in which I work in, because this will give you some insight why using AKKA was somehow strange and unusual in my case. I will tell you about the project I was working on, and the last thing will be how AKKA helped to achieve our goals and how it helped to overcome some of the problems we've hit. So about me. So I am a solution architect, at least that is what I got on my card. I'm working in a telco company, so we're creating software for telecommunication operators. We use mostly JVM. We create services on the JVM using different tech stacks. Before joining my current company, I spent some time developing Android platform that involved working from the kernel level up to application level. And I have been fascinated with Scala something like 2011. Okay, enough about me. So about the telco industry that I work in. So if you would want me to describe the telco industry with just one word, that would be that it's very enterprisey. What does it mean that a project is an enterprise project or something like that? Well, from my experience, it involves certain roles of people that has to be involved in the project. So you need to have architects. Well, architects are the most knowledgeable programmers who don't code anymore, but draw a lot of pretty diagrams. You need to have project managers who make a lot of phone calls and should look after the project from a business perspective. Well, you have external consultants who come to your company and you need to pay them 3 times more than your average developer and they do the job of your average developer. So a question for you. If you got all those 3 roles and we're on the JVM and there's an enterprisey project, what stack would you use? Well, that's of course Java Enterprise and friends like, let's say, Spring or something like that, right? Oracle, yeah, sure. Well, Java EE with Oracle, great. And kind of like a joke, but well, not really. A cherry on top of the cake. Well, there's no enterprise project without Microsoft Word. So you need to actually create a lengthy document at the end. So this is the world that I work in. So before joining my current company, as I said, I worked as an Android platform developer, and there things were somehow different, where a lot of enterprise ideas were not possible and not existent there. So, well, when I joined my company, I seen a lot of strange things I didn't understand. Well, why can I run my program from the main method? Why can I not create my threads? What all this annotation magic does, and why the hell would you want to create your software with XML? Why do you hate your language so much? So, well, I asked a lot of questions, and I was really like something like that. But you know, I'm a human being, so I adapted, and well. Yes, thanks. Well, you know, eventually I started to write my code like this. Yeah, so a lot of interfaces, yeah, and and the only thing that's useful is the transactional thing, because I understood why some things are good, why some of the enterprise ideas are okay, some others are not, and some were just not applicable in my previous company because, well, when when your compilation takes half to 2 hours, well, it's hard to do TDD, believe me. So, well, but the thing was that I really like programming. And when I changed my company and started to do this, somehow the joy of programming was really gone. And, well, you kind of feel like in a cage because you always need to do the same thing. You cannot do, create, your ideas cannot be fulfilled because you need to go a certain path that somebody else does. And, well, at the same time, like I said, I was somehow fascinated with Scala for 4 years now. I did some side projects, pet projects. I read a lot of books on Scala. And I had 2 conclusions that actually, well, you can create a web application without being treated like an idiot by your framework. Like, you don't need anyone looking over your shoulder if you're not trying to shoot yourself in the foot. And that a lot of best practices were there just to hide the fact that design is flawed from the beginning. And with that knowledge, I was actually waiting for something that would allow me to try out this. So, well, this moment actually came, and we had a project that was actually born out of conversations with the telco business guys. So we asked them, so what do you need? What kind of software you want us to create? You know, we wanted to make some money, right? So they said, we don't need no software. We want services. Well, okay, so what's the difference between a software and a service? So, for example, they didn't want a software that would allow them to handle more SMSs concurrently. They wanted something that would allow for building a business around SMSs and to build their clients for it. So we thought, why not to try to roll out our own solution and create something that would allow for creating services easily. So because we were really good at the telco and the website, so we thought we'll try to connect the 2 worlds, the telco world and the Web 2.0 world. We will allow telecom operators to create their own services, because now it's like if you go to your telecom operator and you ask for some kind of service, like something with USSD code or something, if you don't have enough users, you will need to pay a lot or it's not profitable for the operator. So we wanted to give opportunity to those users to create those services on their own. We wanted it to be easily integrated with the solution, with the infrastructure, and we know one more thing, that we need to allow external developers to easily join in and build their own software components on our platform. And that is obvious if you look at the mobile market when, well, the 2 platforms, iOS and Android, are flourishing because, well, they got App Store and Android Play, Google Play Store, and there is no chance that a single company will build all the needed software that external developers can provide. So actually, what we wanted to achieve was something like responding to telecommunication events with web actions. So think like, that's like an example that somebody was calling you and that call would be rejected because our software checked in your Google Calendar that you have a meeting, and it would send an SMS to that guy who was calling you that you will be free when the meeting is over. So this was what we were trying to achieve. And well, to summarize up with a diagram, so we wanted to allow developers to push their software to our cloud, allow service creators to use this software and the GSM network to create their own services, and of course, bringing some customers that would be built for that. So that was the general idea. So as we thought that we started to work on it, well, it turned out not to be as easy as we thought at the beginning. The first draft of the documentation contains more than 30 modules. Well, a lot of those modules were add-ons actually to the core idea, but you cannot have things like, let's say, if you have customers, you need to somehow manage them. If you want to build them, you need to do all the stuff like payments, billing, invoicing, and other. And because we were building on our own infrastructure, we needed also tools for monitoring and administration. And so probably this won't come as a surprise for you that the stack chosen for the project was of course based on the Java Enterprise Edition. So additionally to the Java Enterprise Edition, we had James Lee's this is something like an equivalent of Java EE, but for the telecommunication side, you can take a telco resource and put it in an adapter and use it from Java. JBPM was also used. I think that some of you might not know what JBPM is because it's not so popular. So BPM is a standard for business modeling, for modeling processes for business. And so a business process is, let's say, like an evaluation of you. If you have an HR evaluation and your direct manager evaluation, and you know then if you're fired or get a raise. So JBPM is an implementation of that standard on the JVM. So it basically allows you to do a drag and drop diagrams and to model the processes and to run them. And it's very tightly, it is integrated with the Java EE stack. So parts of the UI was done with Django, and we of course had SQL databases because of course, well, SQL databases go well with the Java EE stack. JPA is there, and we had communication with the modules over the rest. I used to joke that now the microservice architecture is very popular, right? So we had something like 6 application servers. So I used to call it a mega architecture. So yeah, and later on, AKKA joined in, and I will tell you in a few minutes why, but AKKA had to join in because the stack was not enough, actually. But I will tell you about that in a few minutes. So this is how it would work. So this is actually the JBPM plugin for creating services. So you could, wait a second, I will find my mouse. So you could, so external developers would push their components. You could import them here, drag and drop them here. And this is actually the first service that I've implemented on our platform. What it does, when you receive an SMS, it passes it on with an email. Yeah, that's basically what it does. So, well, what was the problem with this approach? So, well, JBPM is a great process executor, and it really runs great on the application server. And actually, this is what was the problem, the application servers, because, well, application servers don't scale very well. I know we have things like high availability, but, well, we had something else because we were going to run code from, untrusted code from not our organization, and we wanted it all to be very lightweight and to allow ourselves to easily add more computing power. So anyone who tried to cluster like Glassfish or JBoss knows what a pain of that it is. So what we needed to do was to scale, but in a very different way than usually you try to scale. Because normally, when you have an application, somehow you know what parts of the application are heavyweight, and what parts of the application may need to be replicated somewhere, like doing the microservices architecture. So this was not our case because we were running someone else's code in our cloud, and we needed to be like ready for different code that would come to us. And this is also not like a cloud application platform like, let's say, I don't know, DigitalOcean, because, well, they give you a part of the virtual hardware, but you cannot go over the limit, over the RAM and CPU limit that you've bought from them. And what more, all of the components need to be able to somehow talk to each other, and if we had enough components, we couldn't load them at all simultaneously. So how actually AKKA helped to achieve our goals? So the full disclosure is that I've joined this project like something like half year after it started, and I was talking to my friend at our office in the corridor, and he was talking about this project and telling me that, well, they're doing this and they have problems with scaling, and, well, the model doesn't suit very well. And I said to him, you know what? I've got a perfect framework for you, but I can join your team, but I don't want you to mess with my language or my framework. So he was skeptical at first because, we're building something and I was the only one who knew Scala. Well, something new for him like AKKA came up, not backed by a big company, sorry TypeSafe guys. And well, so as I said, he was skeptical, but well, eventually I had a green light and well, tried to help with the problems. So basically what I faced was how to distribute the computation of the processes on different nodes. So, well, because I started to work on this half year later after the start, so I couldn't remove JBPM because other parts were already using it. So, but it turned out that you could extract from the JBPM only a smart portion that does not depend on the application server and everything that application server gives you. So I dropped everything and only left the lightweight part that would process the process definition. And actually, a JBPM process is an XML file that describes the ordering of those components that would be invoked and Java classes that should be invoked with every component. So what I did, I wrapped every handle that would be executed with my own proxy, and instead of executing the process in place, I sent out messages to actors who had preloaded those components, and they would do the computation. And the process would wait for the response from the actor and would carry on with the process. So this is basically how it looked like. So if a telco event come, a JVM process was launched, and well, it was sent to different actors, like on server 1, server 2, server 3. Yeah, so that was actually working for us. But well, there was more. We had other benefits from doing it this way. So basically, what I want you to look at is that we had a problem with the enterprise stack because the enterprise stack had a certain model to follow, and AKKA is very flexible. It doesn't impose on you any model of computation. You can do a lot of things, and well, it was actually easy to do. I didn't need to bend myself to the framework. The framework did bend to my needs. And the other benefits we had, well, we used a lot of things that AKKA gave us. So things like metrics. Metrics were very important for us because, like I said, we were running someone else's code and our servers could be somehow overloaded. And we didn't want to send messages to those servers if they were already overloaded, right? We also wanted to have some metrics on things like network bandwidth user because we thought about things like, let's say, video on demand or something like that. So you don't want to stream a video file from the server who's already lacking on network bandwidth. Another great thing was clustering because, well, AKKA clustering is somehow different from the Java EE model with the high availability. It's more about something like that you add a server to the cluster, and it is automatically joined, and it can do all the things that all other servers who were at the cluster before. So you can put actors there, you can execute services, you can execute components, and this is super easy. And we need to have that to easily scale with the need. So we wanted to start small, and then if it eventually would launch out, so to easily add more power. We used this is somehow connected with the thing about metrics because routers are a fancy thing in Scala that allows you to actually distribute messages across actors, and this distribution is based on some policy, and we used a lot of policies connected to the metrics, and that worked out very well for us. Another thing that routers can do, that they can keep a certain number of actors deployed on a certain number of servers, so you can let them to deploy your actors automatically, and that's a very, very fine thing to use. And because we had all of all of the data and the framework was so flexible, it was very easy for us to automate everything. So we could try a lot of things, like we could adjust our environment. We were doing things like, I don't know if you know what SDN networks are. Those are networks, those are a standard for creating networks pragmatically. So you can execute code and change your network in runtime. And we were doing things like creating virtual private networks on demand with actors. And well, that was something that would be very hard to achieve with the enterprise stack. Like I said before, the thing with services that had to be turned off somewhere, because we measured how many times the service was used, and if some period of time, if the service somehow expired, we just removed it. We killed the actor and the service was no longer taking up our memory. So it was also super easy and super good. And what's more, the thing that, well, actually the whole core that would allow us to execute our application was very small, because all we needed to have was the AKKA distribution and a few messages that would be sent, and only one generic actor who was running the components. So it was very easy to start the new servers. Well, another thing from AKKA that really shined for us very well was supervision, because, well, the thing that we're running untrusted code, well, the code can actually fail us, and the thing that, well, our business model was saying that you can be built by usage of service and usage of component. So if some component would fail, the whole service should be stopped and the client should not be built for it. So it was also super easy to know that something has failed, and we always knew that something was not working like it should, right? So, well, actually, what I really like from moving from the Java EE to working with Scala and AKKA was the super fast development, and the thing that, well, you don't need to every time deploy the application, right? And that is really important, because you tend to experiment more, you tend to try out things more, and I believe that gives you a better code, because you are very eager to try out new things, and to even if you fix something, to immediately check it out. Is it running or not? Because if your deploy takes a lot of time, well, that is something that will put you off. And the final thing, no, not the final. Sorry. Oh, and well, that was something that I was given back, because I was really missing that. You really have a great fun working with Scala and AKKA in production, and it's really working. So, well, basically the conclusion, because I know from meetings with you that a lot of you are here and are in the same situation as I was, that you are somehow fascinated with Scala, but you're still working in Java. So a message for you, that to go to your managers, tell them that you can do better, and good luck.